like all Manitobans, we're getting the news of these sobering numbers, new cases of COVID-19 across the province, certainly here in Winnipeg. And I'm reflecting on the fact that our healthcare system as a whole, unfortunately, due to this government's cuts and their closures and their creation of chaos within our healthcare system, we weren't as well positioned as we could have been in our healthcare system to respond to this pandemic. A lot of the challenges that we're seeing in our healthcare system right now, today, that were announced and that were on the front page of newspapers are a direct result of this government's cuts and closures and treatment of healthcare workers in our healthcare system. And I think it's really important for us to reflect on that and to acknowledge that. Today's numbers, I know for many Manitobans are scary, are unnerving. At the same time, we recognize that this is an opportunity for Manitobans to continue to elevate what they've always done during this pandemic, which is step up and support one another, which is, show up and commit to ensuring that we're all as safe as we can possibly be. And I know that Manitobans are going to continue to do that, as Manitobans have done. And I encourage folks to reach out to your neighbors, reach out within your networks. Let's make sure that we're lifting each other up right now. We're supporting each other to do what we need to do, to each do our part, wear a mask, stay home when we're sick, wash, sanitize our hands, physically distance from one another, and also maintain that connection that we need to maintain as human beings to navigate this time and this challenge. And in all of this, it's so important, that us as legislators stay committed. And I know that in our caucus, we are committed to continuing to push this government and continuing to fight on behalf of Manitobans for this government to match the commitment of Manitobans. This government had an opportunity early on in this pandemic. We saw our first case of COVID-19 later than other jurisdictions. We had an opportunity to get ahead of this pandemic and stay ahead of it. The government failed to do that. And so we're going to continue to push this government to match the commitment and the sacrifices of Manitobans and make sure that Manitobans across the board have what they need in order to navigate this pandemic safely. We're going to push this government to make sure that our healthcare workers have what they need to navigate this pandemic safely, to not be burnt out on the front lines, to have access to the adequate amount of PPE and the ability to use it when they need to make sure that staffing is in place. These are all things the government failed to do adequately, and we're going to continue to demand the government step up and match the efforts of our healthcare workers, our essential workers, and Manitobans across the board who've shown up and done their part. I'm going to give it back to Walt.